Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Kronos Group Podcast. Y'all know that I am Jerry Brazie, your host, right along with my co-hosts. We got Matt right there. We got Steve right there. And today is a day that is going to be a first for us, as we just released our right, Matt? Or no, our next one is our 300th?
No. Today was the 300 that we dropped.
Today was our 300th episode. That's 300 largely 1-hour episodes of the podcast. Quite a milestone for any of us in the podcasting space. And if you know anybody else that does podcasting, they'll tell you 300. That's a number. So doing really well there, and we're excited about that. But today in particular, we're going to do something a little bit different. Let me give you a background on how the Kronos Group Podcast works. Every Thursday, like tonight, Steve and I and Matt get together and we do this, the three of us podcast. Now, we are the creators and founders of the Kronos Group, our brand new company that we're just putting together. So we've rebranded my original Jerry Brazie podcast to be the Kronos Group Podcast. And we get together every Thursday, and anybody who listens regularly knows that we're hashing it out and having a good time talking about things that are important to us. One day a week, I do a podcast one-on-one with somebody else. And then yesterday, for instance, I went on two people's podcasts. And so I'm regularly going on other podcasts and doing that. But one time a week, I get together with a guest and have a conversation. And that's what those other podcasts are. And you see those that they come out, I think, what is it, Matt, every Monday and Thursday?
Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays and Thursdays. So every Mondays and Thursdays. So what we do today comes out on Monday. The one I do meeting with or having the interview with another guest, that will come out on Thursday. Love doing all of those. So we thought that we'll turn this podcast into a 90-minute podcast. The 30 minutes of it, which this is our inaugural one, so we didn't quite make it today, is going to be us going back and forth talking about the things that are important to us for the week. And then the last hour will be an interview with a guest who was willing to come on with the three knuckleheads and have a conversation with us about whatever it is that they want to talk about over the course of an hour, live stream the thing. Then, of course, we'll shoot it out on Monday. Matt will edit this thing up and we'll get it out on Monday so everyone else can hear it. So that is the plan for today, and we're looking forward to it. Matt and Steve in particular are looking forward to it because it'll be their first time they've interviewed a guest. And so, boys, before we bring our guest on and he gets here, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a first. It's definitely a first on that. It's going to be different. I'm going to enjoy having somebody to talk to that maybe sounds like they know what they're talking about. So we'll see how that goes with that. But it is, wow. It's fun. It's exciting. I was thinking about it all day while I was doing my other sales work and thinking about it. Actually took breaks in it just to kind of prepare for it. And then helps you appreciate what it's like when you have somebody. I mean, I know you knuckleheads, to your point exactly, Jerry. So a lot of that we can bounce around. We could be sitting around, campfire, just doing this kind of talk, or sitting at the beach. But this is going to be interesting to actually, my first experience having a real interview with somebody in that format. So I'm excited for it.
There we go. Bart, how you doing, pal?
Good. How are you?
We're doing very well. Welcome to the podcast. Where are you calling us, or where are you coming in from? Where are you? What part of the world?
Utah, just south of Salt Lake City.
Oh, it's beautiful out there. I'm originally an Oregonian, 50 years in Portland. So I've ridden many a motorcycle through Utah.
And I used to deliver trailers to the port in Tacoma and would drive through Portland.
Yeah. Drive up over those blue mountains in the wintertime.
I've done that. I have done that before. Did not like that, but in the summertime,
memories, huh?
In the summertime, it's beautiful.
Yeah. I own a transportation company. Currently, I have for almost 30 years now out in Oregon and Washington and Idaho. So this year, not one day stuck on the mountain. Now, knock on wood, right? That could flip on me pretty quick. But at this point, I'm playing the odds, and so far so good. So it's been real dry. But we appreciate you coming on, Bart. You look like you're old hat at this. So let me introduce you here to the folks, and then we'll get the conversation started if that works for you. Again, the nature of the podcast is a conversation primarily. So I have a list of questions, and we all do, but typically I only get to 2 or 3 of them, and then the conversation goes off another direction. So you have quite a background, so I think we're going to fill this hour up pretty easy.
All right. Sounds good.
Let's go. So today, guys, as we just said, we are talking with Bart Merrell. Let me tell you about Bart. What happens when what happens happens. We're going to want to talk to him about that. You lose income, you get sick, the market turns, something breaks, something ends, or even something good happens that costs you money. Most people don't have the financial acumen for that. They have a preparedness problem, not necessarily a financial problem, and that is what Bart is all about. Bart spent decades building businesses, helping people recognize something simple but powerful. You already know enough to create the income that you want. You're just not looking at it the right way. I, in my capacity over my years, could not agree more with that statement, Bart. I got to tell you, because one of the things that I always tell people is most don't understand how money works. And if you just educated yourself on how money works, the world would be a much better place for so many people. So I agree with you. So today we're going to talk about monetizing what you already know, why most people act on opportunity, and how to build a financial breathing room that so many people need. So Bart, I am happy to have you here. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. Excited to have a conversation.
Let's do it. Let me start off with the obvious one, and that is that you are an amputee. Did I read that correctly?
I am. I had my lower left leg amputated in March 25th, 2024.
Okay. So I always like to open with the people listening want to hear what you're all about. Give us your background that led you up to, we're here to talk about some business and talk about the things that you're doing, but that background, where you grew up, you're out in Utah, that sort of thing. Give us a quick, 3-minute rundown that will include how you ended up where you are right now, and you lost your leg.
So I didn't start out wanting to do this. This isn't what I was going to do with my life. I was going to grow up. I was going to become an FBI agent, and I was going to go chase serial killers. That was my dream job. From about 16 years old, I watched this movie. It was called Manhunter. I believe that that Silence of the Lambs or Hannibal, one of those two, was the remake of this Manhunter movie. But that movie, it just got me. I mean, I just like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. Even though that's the
original one, right? The Michael Mann one, the one back in the day that's so good. Oh, I love that one. Yes, sir.
And even though he almost went crazy trying to catch this serial killer, for some reason it just hit me, and that's what I wanted to do. We had an FBI agent friend that was retired FBI. He said the easiest way in is through accounting. And so from him and my dad's coaxing, I went and studied accounting at Utah State University. I took the last quarter off and I went home to help my dad on the pig farm down in southern New Mexico and help improve my Spanish. And while I was there, I had RK surgery done on my eyes to correct my vision because I had several friends that was in the customs and border patrol, some cops that were just getting it done because it was fairly new. I got back up to school and I started the application process as I'm finishing up my last quarter. And I found out that automatically disqualified me from the FBI.
Oh,
wow.
I was devastated because there's two things I found out when I started studying accounting. One, I wasn't good at it. And two, I didn't like it. And so it was just a means to an end. And I didn't know what I was going to do. But then I just kind of fell back on what my dad taught me. My dad, he was a pig farmer, like I mentioned. But he had his hands in many different things in the agriculture industry because that's what he liked. Part owner in a dairy farm in Idaho, part owner in a mushroom warehouse in Utah, a produce warehouse in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona. In fact, it was where Diamondback Stadium now stands. And you can imagine there was a good exchange of money when they wanted that piece of property. And so I fell back on what he did. He monetized what crossed his path that he liked. And I was up at school. A buddy of mine jokingly asked me, he worked for a bungee jump company. He said, "You want to go back to Japan?" Because I'd spent some time in Japan. And I said, well, yeah. And 3 months later, I was in Japan pushing little Japanese people off the top of a 8-story bungee tower. And then things just went from there. While I was there, I met a guy that was so I went to the gym while I was there because I didn't have anything to do at night. And as I was going to the gym, I'm fairly large. I'm 6'4". At that time, I was probably about 220. And so the people at the gym, except for the staff, wouldn't really talk to me. Number one, they didn't know if I spoke Japanese or not, but I'm this big gaijin or this big gringo. And they're just like, oh, let's stay away. Finally, this one guy, he comes up to me, and he was a big rig driver in Japan. And you want to talk about drivers, man, they can park where there's no space. It is crazy how good they are. But after about a year and a half of being friends, he said, I want to quit driving truck and I want to start importing camping trailers, Ford and Dodge pickups to Japan. Will you help me? I didn't know how to do it, but I figured he did. So I said, yes. We've been doing it since 1997. We still ship trailers to this day.
Now, so let me ask you about that. Shipping trailers you're shipping cars, U.S. cars to Japan?
Yes.
And how do you get away from that? Or how do you get away with that, I should say? What's the secret to that? Because from what I understand, what is it, something like 95% of all the cars that are on the road in Japan are Japanese cars, and breaking into that market. In fact, I think the new tariff thing, they're so adamant about not letting Americans into their market or people outside into their market that they're willing to pay, investments. I think it was like $600 billion just to keep us out of their market. So tell me about that a little bit.
So it's a small market, but if you're going to have a camping trailer, you got to have something to pull it with if you're going to pull it. 90% of the trailers that I send over there, they don't get pulled anywhere. They're by the side of the house, or they're at the beachfront property that they have. Or we had one that was actually craned up on the side of the mountain and put on stilts on the side of the mountain. The guy spent like $150,000 on a $20,000 trailer by the time it was all said and done. But so the people that want to pull those trucks, or you have people who want a show truck, and so they bring in a Ford or a Dodge pickup, and yeah.
So there's some number of cars that they let in over there that are allowed to be imported, but I'm guessing you can't be some massive corporation. You have to be some small company, and like you guys are, and you just keep moving them in so many a year.
Yeah, we're just really small especially when it comes to the pickup market. We're mainly in the trailers and then the parts market. Mm-hmm. But if someone needs a truck, I mean, basically I have a guy in Japan, like I said, the guy that I met at the gym, anything it could be, we've shipped a boat over there, a Sea Ray boat, so he has customers come to him, say, okay, go find this for me and tell me how much it's going to cost. He contacts me, I go look for it, I just create a list of things and send it over to him. I mean, it has very, very good years, and it's a very side hustle time draw.
So let's use the word side hustle, and we all know that word inside and out. You hear that all day long, and the word passive income. Usually side hustle is usually followed with passive income. And I've never met a passive income before. I've done lots of business in my time, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, and I've never met a passive business. And so I'm quick to say, we need a better word than passive income. From your perspective, your side hustle right there sounds like the opposite of passive, and it takes work to do. Meaning you're not sitting in the south of France collecting checks. So
no.
There's a lot of passive income fantasy out there. From your perspective, doing some research about you, what's your take on, what's real and what's not real when it comes to passive income?
Okay, so when I work with someone, so let me just take a step back. So in my situation, because my dream job got blown up, anything that crosses my path, I always ask the question, can I monetize it? Good, bad, or ugly? We touched on my missing leg. Let me just give you a little preview, just a little thing.
Oh, thank
This
God
is
you
my-
brought your leg up.
That's something to see right there. That's
When you
sick.
start reaching down there, I'm just happy the leg came up. Thank you.
Tax deductible, baby. Side
That's
hustle
right.
samurai.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what you do. Good man. Side hustle
But-
samurai.
But hey, when it came about, I found out I was going to have it amputated in about October of 2023. And after the shock and awe was over, my twisted mind thinks like this. Okay, I don't like this, but it's going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. How can I monetize it? 6 months post-op, I contracted with my prosthetist to help people go through what it is that I went through. Because getting your leg cut off isn't an easy thing to do. There's lots of questions that you have, and I wanted someone to talk to.
Now, why did you have your leg cut off? What preceded that? What precipitated that?
Because I didn't listen to my wife. Okay. That's the short answer. So I had purchased and paid for a personal development retreat in Canada up in the Blue Glacier National Park area. And about a month before I was supposed to leave, my wife comes out of her office. She's Japanese and she's big into feng shui. And she came out of her office and she says, "You can't go." I can't go where? You can't go to Canada. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's a bad direction. I can't live my life on your feng shui. She goes back in her office and she comes back out a few minutes later and she's like, "No, this is a horrible direction. This could affect you for the rest of your life." I didn't listen to her. I went on my adventure to Canada. It was 5 days. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was great. The last day I was dropped from a ropes course. The belayer yelled up at me and said, "Okay, hey, you can just lean back and let go." And I leaned back and let go and down, landed on my ankle. I finished out that day. The next day I had 2 bus rides and a plane ride with 2 big suitcases, and I had crutches for someone 5'10". I got home, went and got it x-rayed. The doctor said it wasn't broken. Many years later, 9 years later, I found out it was actually crushed on the back and the front. And the doctor said, "Okay, whenever it gets bad enough, when the pain gets bad enough, you're going to want to get it fused." Well, I'm a tough cowboy from New Mexico. By the time the pain was bad enough, I went in to get it x-rayed and schedule my fusion surgery. And the radiologist, he takes the first picture. And they're not supposed to tell you anything, and he yells from behind the petition, "Damn! You don't have an ankle bone." And so my ankle bone deteriorated. It heated, it just disappeared. And so the doctor said, "Okay, your best option is amputation because you can't keep it. Eventually it's going to snap, and when it snaps, you're going to have an emergency amputation, not a planned amputation."
That's a crazy story. Aside from the monetizing your leg getting cut off, what was it like when they said, I need to cut your leg off? What, even leading up to that, what's that like? What's going on in your head? Because that particularly because it's not, I thought you were going to tell us you got in a snowmobile accident or you fell off a crane or something, right? Not you were, whatever you were doing, climbing down a hill or something. Yeah. I thought, in fact, I would encourage you to maybe change that story. You're going 130 on the back of a Hayabusa or something and wrecked out. And the only thing you did is mess up your ankle. But what's that like? Having your ankle go out, or knowing you're going to lose your leg?
This is not a lie. As soon as the doctor said that, I actually had to say, "Excuse me, I need to go pee." Like I was kicked in the gut. And so I had to excuse myself. And the doctor looked at me like, I have other patients, right? But I went to the bathroom, I came back, and then it was just a matter of processing it. I had a 40-minute drive home. I'm like, how am I going to tell my wife? She's Japanese. She did not know the phrase, "I told you so."
Yeah.
So that was good. I'd kept that away from her for several years, but then I got home and I says, "Hun, I got to tell you something that I've kept from you for several years. There's this phrase and it's called 'I told you so.'" And I explained it to her and she's like, "Oh, heard that in English class on TV last week." Now you know how to use it. But that's how it all happened. But the thing about it is good, bad, or ugly, I ask, how can I monetize it? If I hadn't asked the question, 6 months post-op, I'm in an appointment with my prosthetist. And I said, "Scott, I interviewed 3 other prosthetists before I decided on you. One of them had a guy that I could talk to who was an amputee that I could ask questions. Scott, you don't have a guy. I'm your guy." That started the negotiation. And I said, "Scott, I don't want a job. I don't want to be in here every day. I want to be on retainer. You give me the numbers to call. I'll call the people. I'll go visit them, even in the hospital. If, they need help, I'll go, comfort them and help them get through what it is they're going to go through." And we've been doing that, it's been almost a year now, over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's monetizing something that it's kind of crazy. I wouldn't suggest your listeners go and chop off body parts to create side hustles. But hey, if something happens, think about it. How can you monetize it?
Yeah, it sounded like you turned a negative situation into a positive. And so, I'm glad to hear from that perspective. But what was the monetization moment for you of how to monetize something like this? What was that formulation of that plan that you were putting into place for a situation that was at a worse point to start that you turned into an actual, how it actually get ahead and still continue to move forward?
And so for me, it's something that I do naturally. Anything that crosses my path, I always ask the question, can I monetize it? And so the thought process was exactly what I said. I didn't know how I was going to monetize it, but am I going to create a course to help people go through this process? I didn't know how it was going to come about, but because I already said, okay, I'm going to monetize this, when the opportunity came, I was prepared. Scott didn't ask me. I said, "Scott, you don't have a guy. I'm your guy. Let's do this." And he agreed, and we have a situation where I get paid every month for making the phone calls and talking to people. It's kind of nice. And it's something that I'd like to do, that I'm good at. I hate to say that I was good at going through this, but I was. People would ask me all the time, "How did you do that? How was your attitude so good?" And I don't know. Maybe it's one of the thoughts that always comes to mind. It's growing up with being named Bart. As a kid, I dealt with Bart the Fart, and as I got into high school, it was more. And so going through the good Johnny Cash song, "A Boy Named Sue," is real. It prepared me for life and created who I was. But I had a lady at church. She came up to me and she says, "Sorry that you're going to have to you're going through this. So are you going to get a prosthetic when you get it cut off?" And she didn't say those words, but are you going to get a prosthetic whenever you get it amputated? Stone cold, serious face. I looked her in the eyes and I said, "No, I'm just going to scoot around on my butt all day long."
You've had a lot of opportunities, Bart. You see it. What do you see as one opportunity that people could be sitting on right now that they completely overlook as far as how to monetize a situation like you did?
And so when I go in to work with someone and talk with someone, I have no agenda. You were talking about the supposed passive income that everybody out there that is usually connected to network marketing or MLMs. I'm not going in to get them to join my MLM or sell my stuff. And so we seriously just go through their life experiences. I have them make lists. What do you like to do? What do you need to do? What are you already doing? And then how can you monetize 1, 2, or even 3 of those things? Because we do have a time issue. We all have limited amount of time. So if you can monetize something that you're already doing, then that's just a bonus. And so I look for things like that. And it's for everybody, it's different. A friend that I was working with, she's a bus driver, a school bus driver, and she wanted to start a party bus that would drive people to the jazz games or the hockey games or whatever event. They wouldn't have to worry about drinking or alcohol or anything like that. They could do whatever they wanted. She would go drop them off, pick them up, and take them home. And when she came to me, I says, okay, I know you already have your idea of what you want to do, but humor me and let's go through the process. And so I had her making her lists and doing all that stuff. And I said, okay, go home, continue to make this list throughout the week, and we'll meet next week and we're going to go over each one of these ideas. She calls me 2 days later and she says, I am so mad at you. I'm like, what? What did I do? I woke up at 3 o'clock yesterday morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. You know I have to be on the bus at 6. I'm like, so what does that have to do with me? I thought of an idea and I couldn't go back to sleep. And her idea was that if she already has the bus, that is her bus, she just needs to go take a test and she will be a bus instructor to give the driving test after they've taken the written test for people who want to get their CDL. And so she went to the DMV, and they're even going to give the people that take the written test a sheet of all the people qualified to do the driver's test. So she wasn't even going to have to advertise. Now, to finish the story with her, she didn't even do the bus idea. They end up buying a dump truck for excavation work, but they still have the vehicle to do the driving test for the people. People overlook the stuff that is right in their face that they can't see because it's too close. And I didn't think of that. All I did was start the wheels going, and she thought of it. And so it's the stuff that they can't see that's just too close to them.
With that mentality, I think what I'm trying to figure out is more for someone like myself, being a young entrepreneur that's getting into how to make money. What does it look like? What am I interested in? When it comes to this mentality, and it sounds like what you had to do, which was there's no going back after the fall. There's no like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. Like, now you have to come up with a plan. And essentially you're having to burn the ships, meaning that like, there's no going back that way. This is where I'm at in my current standpoint. I lost a limb. What do I do now? What is that mentality shift that you could pass on to other entrepreneurs listening that might be in a situation, not exactly of losing a limb, like you would say, but in a moment where it's like, I need to move forward. And so I can't hold on to what I've done in the past. I need to do something new. So how do I burn those ships moving forward within my entrepreneurial journey?
Life is too short to be building someone else's side hustle. That's what I say. So build my own dream. Now it is like this when you're in business for yourself, it's like this, but that's why I have multiple streams of income. I'm a dog trainer. Why am I a dog trainer? Because I adopted a 90-pound, 8-month-old Rottweiler that didn't know the words no. And I kept calling my buddy Sean. I said, Sean, Rex is doing this. What do I do? Sean's a trainer. I call him again. Sean, Rex is doing this. Rex is doing this. About the third or fourth time I called him, he said, Bart, we're doing a train the trainer program. Why don't you come and take that? Take that course and train your own dog if you're not willing to pay me to do it. So I did. That side hustle has made me 100,000 plus every year since I started it. I get paid very well to play with other people's dogs because I adopted a Rottweiler that didn't know the word no. Once again, it's a situation where something difficult or bad turned into a side hustle.
As an entrepreneur, let me ask you, to Matt's question specifically on burning the ships. So you're advocating for people to keep their day job and just understand that there's knowledge to be had out there. There are things that you can do inside of your circle already that could potentially bring you money while letting you keep your foundation. So not necessarily having to go out and start a business and that requires full-time income and things of that nature. So really, truly that side hustle thing. And to come back around to Steve's question about passive income, I get that. I think that my point is, like your dog training, you have to train the dogs, right? So you're having to physically do the work, whatever it is. You're going and talking to the folks that are losing their limbs. You have to go and talk to them. And so again, back to that passive income question, it's not really passive, is it?
The only passive income that I could say is kind of passive income is rental property.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, unless I'm hiring a property manager, which I don't, if someone moves out, I gotta do the ads. If something breaks, I gotta get someone in to fix it or go fix it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the closest to passive income I have.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else that I do, I have to do the work, but I control it. And I bet I work more than the average 9-to-5er. But gosh, it's something I like. I believe that you shouldn't need a job. I think needing a job is dangerous because you don't know what could happen. Everybody thinks it's safe. Everybody thinks you're not going to get laid off. But in this world right now, I think it's dangerous. But if you want a job and you like what you do, keep your job. But you can start a side hustle, get it going, and then get an income large enough that you can walk away from your job if you want to.
Okay. Well, Bart, help our listeners understand. Say, if someone listening had to build $1,000 in new income, say in the next 60 days, what would your framework look like for how you help people do that? If they had to, build $1,000 income in the next 60 days, what would your framework look like?
So my framework would look, I would meet with them. We're going to build lists. What do you like to do? What do you need to do? What are you already doing? What would you like to learn? What do you need to learn? What have you already learned that you could get compensated for helping people through? And so the side hustle itself, the idea itself is going to come from taking those lists, and then we refine them into 2 different lists. What do you like to do the most, and what could you turn into a stream of income the most? And this is where you're going to have to start doing your research, because you have a lot of people out there to say, oh, I wish I was Musk, or I wish I was Bezos, or whatever billionaire, Mark Cuban. Do you really wish you had their lifestyle? Let's think about this. Mark Cuban slept on everybody's couches for a long time before he got his own place. Musk, he lives in his office. Is that the lifestyle you want? And so you got to do your research, and you're going to come up with, okay, I got to give these resources, time, money, effort to get this. And this sometimes is going to be unknown, but you're going to have a decent idea of what this is going to be. Am I willing to give up this to get this? And so we just take them through a process till we find what it is. And then I teach them how to use AI to help save money, save time, and increase their chances of success with business type AI. We're not talking Chat GPT, Gemini, those things. We're talking about Venturus AI. There's Lip Sync. There's Notebook. There's so many AI systems that are out there that helps you increase your chances of success. And so I teach them how to use those to speed things up. There is not a better time in the history of the world to start a side hustle or a side business because of what we have at our fingertips, the knowledge, we don't have to guess. I don't guess who my ideal client is. I know who my ideal client is, and I know how to talk to them because of the AI steps that I take to run my data through AI to give me this information.
In your experience, what belief do you believe quietly sabotages people's financial progress the most? I mean, you've got a lot of people have ideas, a lot of people want to do it. There's a lot of want to. What do you think is the main thing that keeps them from doing that, that sabotages them on their journey trying to get to what you teach people to do?
Fear of taking that first step and fear of what everybody else thinks. Even I have this, I post something. So there's people out there that hate AI, that they do not like AI. And I post stuff about AI and I get, red darts thrown at me. You shouldn't be doing that. You got to be okay with it. And you got to be okay with failure. Gary Vaynerchuk says he would rather succeed 7 out of 10 times than 10 out of 10 times because of what he learned in the failures. And you got to be okay with not succeeding, because you're going to learn something there. And when you go to do it the next time, as long as you get back up and go, failure is okay. And you got to be okay with that. But it's that fear of taking that first step. Once they get that momentum going, then it gets easier and easier as you go, and you care less and less about what people think. Like I said, I had family members, I've had friends' wives. Well, why doesn't Bart get a real job? Well, because I don't think I could do a real job.
I'll push back on that a little bit, in that it's been my experience that most people don't have it in them to do something entrepreneurially. They love to talk about it. They love to go on about, one day, we live in this Dave Ramsey world of, put a condom around us when we go outside and don't take any risk and don't sacrifice and protect yourself until you're 68 years old. And then you have some money in the bank and then you retire and then you die. That's kind of the world that everyone is brought up in. I don't agree with that world, but it's been my experience. I've had 10,000 employees in my lifetime, and a very, very, very insignificant number of them, maybe one handful, had the ability to be an entrepreneur. A small number, but not that small. I certainly saw entrepreneurship abilities in them, but they didn't ever see it in themselves. And so I've always said that people largely are best being number 2s or number 3s. The idea of flying to the south of France and hanging out on a yacht might be, it might be something that seems appealing to you. The amount of work that it takes and risk and sacrifice and all those things, to your point about Bezos and all the rest of them, are pretty significant. So what's your answer to, or your thoughts on, it's just not cut out for everyone. Everyone likes to talk about it, but it takes a big pair to step out and risk doing anything, even if it's passively while you keep your full-time job. You're going to go do a part-time job, and that's not been for most people in my experience. So I encourage people to go get themselves a full-time job, because sometimes most of the time people are just not cut out for this. What do you think of that?
It's something we've been taught forever. It's taught in schools. They don't teach what I teach, or what entrepreneurs. They don't teach entrepreneurship in grade school, high school. Even college courses are still teaching you to go out and get a job. So it's not taught. And I highly recommend that if you're going to do this, you get a mentor, someone that has done what you want to do, and have them be there to hold your hand, to help you whenever you get those feelings of insecurity. And that's going to increase your chances of success. But you're absolutely correct. A lot of people are fine going to work, doing the job that they don't like, coming home and vegging in front of the TV. That's their life, or playing on social media, or whatever. A lot of people are comfortable with that. And if they're in that mode of, oh, I like to get ready. Like you said, everybody talks about it. Everybody loves to talk about it. A lot of people get stuck in loving to get ready and then not taking the action. That's easy. Getting ready is easy. Taking the action is hard. I look back on my life sometimes and I say, I was lucky. And sometimes I laugh at that because my dream job, boom, blown up. I lost several $100,000 after 9/11 in business ventures. I'm missing my left leg. I don't know that I'm lucky, but luck is, Seneca says luck is where preparedness and opportunities meet, but you have to take action. If preparedness and opportunity meet and you don't take action, nothing happens. And so I just try and help people be aware, and I am there to help them take that action if they don't have that fortitude themselves. But you're absolutely correct. We've been taught from a very young age to go and do the Dave Ramsey thing. I don't do that.
The safe way out.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's safe anymore.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people that have to pivot their job because of AI. And if you can be against AI all you want, but you're not going to stop it. It's coming. It gets increasingly better, meaning it can do more, take more people's jobs every day.
You mentioned something earlier about preparation. And I guess I have to ask, you talked about people that prepare, but they never get into it. I coached basketball. My sons, all three of my sons played. And we used to call those people practice heroes. They were great in practice, getting in practice. I liked it. But when it came up time to get in the game and actually put it on the line, contribute something meaningful, they choked, or they were almost literally comfortable to stay on the bench and just be at the game than actually get into it. And I guess I have to ask, how does preparation, when you're doing how does that change the decisions you make as far as pursuing something that you're going after? How does that preparation change those decisions?
So it goes back to like you making a decision. If you're quick at making decisions, that's going to be in your benefit, but not decisions that are not an educated decision. So you have to be able to be willing to make that decision, do your research, do your work, and then make a decision so you're not in the preparation phase forever.
Let me ask you about your book, Monetize Your Mindset. I ask this of everybody that comes on the podcast because I literally, sitting right here, have 2 books that I've started. If we were to look through these, they're half empty. 2 different ones that I've been given as gifts because I'm always told, Jerry, you got to write a book. Jerry, you got to write a book. It's been the case for 15 years. There the books sit with no book written because I found it to be just about the toughest thing I could ever start and stop doing. So I like to ask, Bart, how was the process for you of writing Monetize Your Mindset? How long did it take you? How did you do it? What was the process?
It was pretty painful. I wrote the book, I wrote every chapter, and then I sat with a creative editor who was smarter than me, and we went through every word, every sentence, every page. After I wrote it, it took me about 6 months with him, several hours a day, but I had to prove every concept to him to where he could understand it and he could not agree with it because it's my book, but he could understand my message. And that was painful, but it was worth it in that I'm proud of my book, and it's not a how-to book. It's a how-to-think book. And so that was what it was meant to be. It does what it was meant to be, but it was painful.
So to that end then, and you're not the first one to tell me that, you also have, I saw on your website, which is the Side Hustle Samurai and the $1,000 Blink Spot assessment. And for a minute I thought, is that thing going to cost me $1,000 or is he trying to show people how to make $1,000? And I went in and looked at it. But so let's talk about that $1,000 spot assessment.
So it's a blind spot assessment. It doesn't cost you $1,000. Thanks for that feedback. I'll have to figure out how I can make that more clear. But in a matter of 10 minutes, 40 questions, you will know the things that you are good at, which you may already know, but you're going to have the things that may be your blind spot that is holding you back and keeping you from making that extra $1,000 a month. Starting your side hustle. Do you have what it takes? So a lot of what we've been talking about tonight about are you able to do the things that need to be done? You can't just, if you're taking extra time, you better manage your time well. Do you do that? Do you pay for mentors to help you become better? Are you willing to invest in yourself? So there's many things that it goes over, from just mindset to, are you doing the things you need to do?
I've got a few quick questions here for you, just kind of help our listeners understand a little bit more about what you teach and how you help people. So given the idea somebody wants to start a side hustle, should they save first or just start trying to earn first?
I'm not a financial planner, so speak with your own financial planner on that. So I think you should earn money more. I say make money and plug the holes in your finances.
Okay. So making the money, having the side hustle, doing this, having the right mindset towards getting started this, to help our listeners understand, Bart, if you don't mind, tell me what financial freedom looks like to you right now in one sentence.
Controlling my time.
Bart, we appreciate you coming on. And what's the best way for people? I know we've got Your Ideal Side Hustle. That's youridealsidehustle.com. That is our call to action. If you guys want to go take his not $1,000, but is a blind spot assessment that you can do on his website. And the best way to get a hold of you, Bart, is how outside of youridealsidehustle.com.
I am most active on Facebook, and it's just Bart Merrell. I'm in Utah. Bart Merrell, the Side Hustle Samurai YouTube channel, where I talk about side businesses and what different questions might come up. It's kind of funny. One of the biggest questions was, do I have to pay taxes on my side hustle? Yes, you do. If you don't, unless you want to visit from the Popo.
Is it a cash side hustle? What are we talking about here? All right, Bart, we appreciate it. To everybody, as always, we always appreciate everybody listening. Remember, opportunities are everywhere. You got to go get them. Check us out at thekronosgroup.org. It is our new peer-to-peer group, and you can learn everything about Steve and myself and Matt there at thekronosgroup.org. Kronos. Kronos was the god of time, something entrepreneurs don't have nearly enough of. Bart, appreciate you coming on. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Great conversation. Loved it.